What's up, Bulldogs? All right, I did this video on how to deal with your father, and I got a comment on it, which I think is a comment that I want to address, which is basically, why would you be nice to someone when they're not being nice to you, right? I'll read you the exact comment. In fact, we can take a look at this. Let's see here. This was, yeah, actually, we can see it here, but let me see. It's easier to see it in my email. Okay. Why would you treat someone with kindness when they treat you badly? Right. I think this is important, right? I mean, this at first I was shocked by this because I'm like, are you serious? Do I really have to answer this question? But then I realized that, hey, I actually used to live like this. I used to think like this. Most people probably think like this. They probably think that if someone's not kind to me, I shouldn't be kind to them. And I think that at the surface level, that seems correct, right? If you think about, well, why should I do something for someone if they're not doing something for me? Yeah, at a very surface level, at a very transactional level, that is the correct thing to do. However, there's something deeper here, right? And I really want to get to this because what I'm really trying to teach you guys on this channel, what I'm really trying to help you with, is to become a man. All right, it's funny because I was talking to one of the guys that I'm mentoring, that I'm kind of mentoring free about this, and he. He said some things about some of the content that I created, which it sort of disturbed me because I was like, look, if you know this already, then you don't need my help, right? I'm teaching you how to become a man. Like, don't tell me your opinion, ask me questions, right? Because the things that I'm saying them for a reason. I'm not saying them because they're just my random opinion. I'm saying them because they're based on my experience. They're based on my coaching with men. They're based on something. If you consider me to be someone who is able to give you some higher level truths and wisdoms, then you have to listen to what I'm saying, and you might not understand it, and you might not necessarily even agree with it at first, but you should ask some questions in order to find out the answers to these things. And again, I'm not trying to go off on a tangent here, but or try to toot my own horn, but my real focus is for you guys to be able to become the best versions of yourself possible, the best men possible, because we live in a society today where the world needs strong men. It needs real men who are willing to do what is necessary in order to protect the weaker people, to provide, to be able to, I hate to just use the word protect and provide, but to really step up, okay? Because we are in a bad time right now in terms of masculinity, right? And people don't even understand what it is. One of my business acquaintances, Chris, really smart guy, he put a comment on one of my videos, and he said that basically, like, this crisis of masculinity. In fact, let me just find the comment so I can quote him exactly, because it was a really good comment, is what he said here. And he said, we're in a generation that is so confused by feminism and leftist ideology that even many of those who oppose this agenda fall prey to its paradigms. So accurate. Even those who oppose the agenda fall prey to its paradigms, right? And so this is the problem, is that there's a lot of men out there that think they know how to be men, and they don't know how to be men because they can only do it in appearance, right? It's almost like a lot of men, a lot of the teachings that are being put out there, especially on YouTube, are really the equivalent of male feminism, in the sense that the problem with feminism, the main problem with feminism, is the victim mindset. It's not. The second problem with it is that it is not accepting the role, right? It's not accepting the differences between gender, between the masculine and feminine. That feminism is trying to become masculine, is women trying to become masculine. That's really what it is. And so a lot of men today that are trying to be masculine, they have the victim mindset, okay, and they blame women, they blame society, and then also they become sort of the same thing that women are trying to do. They instead of understanding that women need to be more feminine, they're also trying to make women masculine in a different way. That's why I harp on this idea of as a man, you pay for dates, you pay for dinner, you treat a woman like a lady, whether she deserves it or not. Again, you don't have to associate with that woman if she's not treating you well, but you do these things because you are the gentleman. I was talking to someone the other day, and we're going to get into the actual video in a minute here. I mean, this is kind of it anyway, and we're talking about how some guys would just be like, yeah, I open up doors, car doors for women. And, and a woman might be opposed to that. She might say, I don't need a man to open a door for me. Whereas, the kind of masculinity that I see common in the culture today, that man would react by saying, well, then I don't want any feminist woman. Like if you don't want a man that's going to open doors for you, then get the hell out of here. Right. Like to get offended. And whereas a truly masculine man is not even going to let that faze him. He's just going to do it anyway, because that's what he believes is right. So he's going to do what he believes is right. He's just going to kind of shrug off what she said, ignore what she said, and do the thing, like to overpower her with his masculinity, not in a forceful way, but because that's just who he is, right? And so that's where I'm getting to the answer to this question, right? Because it is a good question, right? Why should you be kind to someone? Why should you treat someone with kindness when they treat you badly? And the reason why is because it's who you are. It's not who they are, right? I'm a man of principles. I believe in living by principles. And I believe in order to be a true man today, a masculine man, as I would define it, you have to be a man that lives his life based on principles. And one of the principles that I have is that I don't allow other people to determine who I am. I determine who I am. So I'm not reactive. I might respond, but I'm not reactive, right? And so if someone's unkind to me, it doesn't change my nature and make me unkind to them. I will still be kind to them because I'm a kind person. Now, I'm not a nice guy, okay? There's a big difference between being nice and being kind. Being a nice guy is a guy who does things in order to gain the approval of other people or because he doesn't want their disapproval. So that's why he's doing things. The motive of a nice guy is that he doesn't want to feel bad. He's a people pleaser. He doesn't want to not have validation from other people. Whereas a kind guy does things because he wants to do them. He does them out of the kindness of his heart, right? And so I consider myself a kind guy, and you should too, right? It is good to be kind. It is good to be gentle. It is good to love people and to love the world, right? And that is a message that is missing from a lot of masculinity today. However, the way that you do it is important, right? And that's why you cannot allow other people, you cannot allow women, you cannot allow men, you cannot allow anyone to change your behavior and how you are. I believe it was in Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, where maybe it was, I'd have to go back through it again, but I think it was Lincoln talking to Robert E. Lee or something like that. And, some general, and in one of the higher ups had said, that this person, he asked for an estimation of this other general, and maybe it was the two generals, right? And he said that he gave him some compliments. He said he's a good guy, commanding officer, or whatever. I don't remember the exact compliments, but he gave him some good compliments. And then the person said, well, he hates you. He thinks you're a piece of shit, basically, right? I'm paraphrasing. And he was like, oh, you didn't ask me for my opinion of. For his opinion of me, you asked me what my opinion of him was. And I thought that was so noble. See, that's what true honor is. That's what true integrity is. That's what a man living by his principles is that he chooses to be honest about someone who might not even like them, right? So just because someone treats you poorly doesn't mean that you need to treat them poorly. And again, it's not just about whether their character, whether you think they deserve it or not. It's about just who you are. Right? In general, I will treat people kindly. I will treat people with compassion and love. I will respect people even if they disrespect me. Now, if someone disrespects me, I'm not going to be around them. I'm going to have boundaries. I'm going to remove myself from the situation. They're not going to get to have access to me, right? I will withdraw that. However, they will not get me to act out of disrespect just because they disrespected me. Does that make sense? Do you get where this is coming from? It's, again, a lot of the advice I'm giving you, especially like on forgiveness, right? When we talked about this, it wasn't for them, it was for you, right? These things are for you, right? Because how you act and how you behave and how you treat other people and the way that you carry yourself as a man, it is a reflection of you, and it will affect your soul. It will affect who you are at a deep level, and it will affect it in a negative or a positive way. And the Stoics talk about this all the time. I'm going through Seneca's letters on my other channel, and in one of the recurring themes about a man, right? A wise man, let's say, is that he's unchanging. What does that mean? It means that his mind is the same, right? So that he's living by principles. He has integrity, right? He doesn't. You can predict his actions to a degree because you know what he's about and who he is. And so that's the thing about this, right? It's not about, again, it's not about letting women take advantage of you. It's not about what are they bringing to the table. It's not about an exchange. It's not transactional. Your interactions with humans and people in this world are not transactional. If you make them transactional, you take away your own integrity in doing that, right? You rob yourself of the character that you could have as a man, as a person, as a human being, right? A man that is steady in all his ways, a man that you can count on how he's going to act and how he's going to handle situations. That's a man that you can trust. That's a man that can lead. That's a man that you would be willing to sacrifice your life for his cause because you believe in him. Do you understand? This is why anger is not good for a man to show, to express. This is why all of these things are important, right? You shouldn't have to ask the question of why should you be nice to someone or kind to someone who treats you badly, because that's the wrong question to ask. That makes things transactional. The question you should ask is, why should I be kind? And I can answer that question for you, which is because you have more awareness than other people, right? And that's the other thing to understand here is that it's a level of awareness, right? Some of you guys don't have the awareness, and that's why you're leaving comments, and that's why you're saying you're disagreeing with a lot of the stuff that I'm saying, and that's fine. I get that. But understand that the thing about ignorance is that you cannot detect your own ignorance. And you might say, well, John, maybe you're the ignorant one. And sure, perhaps, right? And I am ignorant in some ways, and I can't detect those ways that I'm ignorant. But what I'm talking about, and where everything should come from, right? I was talking to one of my friends that used to be very left-leaning and is in the development space, software development space, which has just become a liberal nightmare, right? It's completely woke culture. It's ridiculous, right? And I was talking to him, and he was saying, yeah, some of these guys, they do, they're doing their own thing. They're trying to help people, and even though they're, we know the way that they're doing it is actually harming people and is bigotry and things like that. And it's really a way of virtue signaling, right? It's benefiting them, but they're also benefiting other people, or they think they are. They're trying to. And I was like, well, that's not entirely accurate. I mean, it is accurate in a sense, but also the problem is that if a thing is not rooted in love, if the thing that you're not doing is based in love, it is a wrong action. And that's the thing to understand about all of this, is that it's about love. Like, your actions either come from fear or love, right? Everything that you do is either on the scale of fear to love. And so if you want to raise your awareness, if you want to raise your consciousness as a human being, you have to move more towards love. You have to move away from fear in all of your actions and everything that you're doing. It's about you. It's about the evolution of your soul, of your character, of who you are as a person. And yeah, I fall down at this plenty of times. We all do. But I recognize the truth. And I think that's maybe the difference, is that I recognize where I'm falling short, and not out of a religious reason, right? A lot of people are super religious, and that's fine if that's what you are right now. But it's doing things for the right reason. If you're doing things because you're afraid God's going to punish you, well, it's not exactly the right reason now, is it? I mean, sure, it might have a better result, and a person who lives those principles because of that reason might live a better life. However, it's not moving in the direction of love. It's trying to, but there's a different motive here. There's something else that is pushing you in that point. You need to move in the direction of love because you see this as the truth, right? That you have to raise your level of awareness. And so it's practicing these things. It's practicing kindness when other people are hurtful. It's practicing love when other people are fearful. It's practicing generosity when other people are greedy, right? It's going the other way, right? It's not making things transactional, right? And like I said, all the things that are happening, all the things that are bad in the world, there's no such thing as evil, all right? I know that a lot of guys don't like me to say this, but truly all that exists is a lack of awareness, Because if you had the true awareness, if you truly understood the way the universe works, if you truly understood the way that humans work, if you could see inside a person's soul, and if you could see inside a person's mind, you would have nothing but love for them. Because you would realize that all human beings are suffering, right? You're suffering, I'm suffering. We can reduce our suffering. We don't have to suffer. We do have to experience pain in this life, but we can reduce our suffering by letting go of attachments, by letting go of expectations, by not trying to hold on to things and not trying to avoid things, by accepting, right? And through that, we can raise our awareness as we understand those things, and we'll suffer less. But if you had the level of awareness that God has, the universe, whatever you want to call it, you would understand that all these things make sense and that it all works, and you would act completely out of love, because that would be the only way to act. Now, again, am I there 100%? No. Is anybody there 100%? No. Maybe there were some ancients that have ascended to that level, perhaps, right? No one knows for sure. But understand where the bar is. And that's important. It really is important, right? And again, I get all the arguments against all of the stuff that I'm saying, and you might think this is all woo-woo out there and whatever, and eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, like it's a dog eat dog world, and I agree that it is a dog eat dog world, and there are times where you need to compete, and there are times where you need to succeed and win, but where can you show compassion? Where can you show mercy instead of justice? Justice is sort of it's a trap, right? Justice, the idea of justice is a trap, because justice doesn't actually bring about any good. It might make a person feel good to get justice, right? Someone else asked about revenge. So is revenge always bad? Yes, of course. Why would you want to take revenge? Why would you want to cause more pain and more harm in the world? It does no good. You think you can bring about good by harm? That's not true, right? Again, I know there's practical and pragmatic reasons why you might need to defend yourself or situations like that. I understand that, and I'm not saying that those situations don't exist. But I was talking about this on one of the coaching calls that I was doing on the I think it was one of the weekly coaching calls for the Financial Freedom Program. By the way, if you're interested in financial freedom, just DM me the word YouTube actually on Instagram, and someone from my team will get a hold of you, and we can see if you're a good fit for that. But on one of those calls, we were talking about this idea that that essentially revenge, or trying to get back at someone, that it's like it's pointless. It doesn't make any sense. There's no point causing additional harm in this world, right? There's that people will hurt other people based on the hurt that they're feeling, right? And that doesn't mean that that you have to participate in that cycle, right? It's kind of interesting how many people just buy into that automatically, right? So forget about these ideas. Forget about the ideas of revenge. Forget about justice. Justice is not the thing that you want. Mercy is the thing that you want, right? Because mercy is the thing that you yourself want. So why not give that to other people? So anyway, that's enough for this video. I had one other point that it was about that coaching call, but I can't remember exactly what it was. I should have made a mental note or something to keep track of that. I'll see you tomorrow.